Hello there. Welcome to episode 2 of the new player guide to retail World of Warcraft, taking place in the War Within Season 3. My name is Yogurt, and I'll be your host on this journey. This is our character that we rolled last time. His name is Bacon. And today we're going to continue to progress through the
And
War
whose
Within
fault is
campaign
that?
to unlock all the
Your
available
edict
features at
is
the
to
end.
protect the Isle,
On our
not
last
just the
episode,
city,
we
and
talked
not
about
just
character
the
creation,
Oathsworn.
add-ons, user interface, the intro quest line, and we did a brief lore overview to kind of catch you up on where we're at now. If you are a new player watching this series, you can join our Discord. You can find the link down in the episode description. There's a couple folks in there now, and we're just groups of players looking to help each other out. So feel free to join in and group up and problem solve. I'm happy to answer questions anybody might have. There's links to useful resources, links to class discords, all sorts of stuff that's available, and we're hoping to keep the community growing over the next couple of forever, I guess. But so without further ado, we can kind of hop into our next little leveling session. If you're new to the series, essentially what I've been doing is each season I'm setting myself what's referred to in the WoW community as a 0 to hero challenge. So it's essentially working to achieve a goal by yourself using pickup groups and progressing through the game kind of like as a solo player. Our goal for season 3 is to reach 3,000 Mythic Plus rating, which awards a cool mount. And then we also want to get the ahead of the curve achievement. So AOTC is what's referred to. And that requires us to clear the raid on heroic difficulty. So right now what we're doing is we're just starting. In the last episode, we rolled a wheel to see, spun a wheel to see what class we were going to play. In season 2, we played rogue. We didn't actually meet our goal in season 2, so our character was deleted. Rest in peace, Oatmeal. And in season 3, we're starting over. We're starting a lot earlier in the season, so the goal will be very attainable this time. My plan is to have an episode a week, roughly 2 hours. And the other inspiration for this was Zizarin's Explain Everything series for Path of Exile. So in the first episode, I explain a bunch of things for the new player, and I'll continue to do so in this episode here. In the first season, season 2, the previous season of the War Within, we started a character on a completely fresh, brand new account. And so we leveled from level 1 all the way to level 80. In this season, we're starting purely in the War Within. So if you don't want any spoilers, although we don't get too into the story at all, you can definitely go back and progress it on your own or watch the previous season to kind of see previous story from the game, what happens prior to this expansion and the Dragonflight expansion. But if you're just interested in kind of like learning about the game, all the different end game activities that it offers you and different play styles and game modes, you can absolutely watch along here. When you purchase the War Within, you will get a free level 70 character boost. You don't have to use it, but if you want to just like jump right in and play with your friends, you can absolutely do that. I do a brief overview of like the different classes and roles that are available in the last episode, so feel free to go watch that. But basically, pick what resonates with you. So we're gonna dive in, pick up where we left off in the campaign. We crash landed on the Isle of Dorn, and we're learning about the Earthen race, and we're trying to get them back together. They had a council of 4 that was a little bit split, so we're trying to help sort of restore some of those bonds because they have a common enemy once again. And the class that we're going to be playing this time, as you can see, is Monk. Very straightforward monk class, really. Martial weapons, punching and kicking, a lot of fists, spinning. You'll sometimes see each of the monk specializations can be associated with what are referred to as like celestials. So I just use my major cooldown, but the celestial for Windwalker, which is the melee DPS specialization, is Invoke Zuen the White Tiger. That's the cooldown ability. Zuen the White Tiger is the celestial. And he is a white tiger. And then there he is. And then Brewmasters, their celestial is the ox, is now the black ox. And then there's also a celestial, a jade serpent that's associated with Mistweavers. And they're just, they just come to your aid essentially. They're not like a major part. Like hunters in World of Warcraft, they have pets that are with you permanently. In this case, we just kind of ask for the aid of the celestials through our cooldown abilities. So you don't have to control them. You don't have to, really do anything. They just come in and do damage or healing or taunt a bunch of enemies and go from there. Our hero talents, which is what we unlocked last time. So talent trees, there's 2 talent trees for every class. There's the main class specialization or class tree that's shared across all specializations. You'll see that on the left. On the right is the spec talent tree. So this is Windwalker. I can change my specialization in the bottom left. Brewmaster, Mistweaver, Windwalker. And the specialization tree will change. And then a feature of the War Within are they're referred to as hero talents. So one of the hero talents for Windwalker and Mistweaver, each spec will share one, is the Conduit of the Celestials. So it leans into that celestial aspect of the monk.
In this season,
make some quick changes. We'll turn our music back on.
Flowers, symbolizing harmony and their gratitude for nature's gifts.
The edicts are my guide.
We're not going to read any of the quest texts. I mentioned that in the last video. We are going to watch the cinematics. We'll watch those in their entirety. So you can kind of keep up with like the major events that are going on. If lore is your thing, you want to learn more about the world, you want to take it nice and slow, you can absolutely read the quest text, learn more about the characters.
Well, I'm listening.
The major characters in World of Warcraft are typically the faction leaders. So when we were doing our character creation, there were, different races.
We will survive.
And each one of those races has like a leader or multiple leaders, depending on. So, for example, humans have Anduin, the king of Stormwind, as one of their leaders. They also have Jaina Proudmoore. And then the orcs have characters like Thrall. Everybody kind of has their leader. So those tend to be like the major characters.
Come back and share.
But when you go into a new expansion, you'll also find that the narrative tends to follow a handful of characters. So in this one, you'll see Thrall and Jaina from time to time as representatives of the Alliance and the Horde, but you'll mostly see Illyria Windrunner. You'll see Moira Therusian, and then some new characters that are representatives of the Earthen and then some of the other races that we'll meet a little bit further along.
Damn bugs! They're attacking our injured! May the Titans call. I must defend my
Pick up that cinder brew keg. I have an idea.
Ha! I knew it would work. Let's light them up.
And quests in World of Warcraft are usually pretty straightforward. I mentioned last time, there are quests that are referred to as like fill the bar. That's what you can see over here on the right. And then you'll also find quests that have extra action buttons. So that's what this little button down here is referred to. I currently have it bound to like my middle mouse button. And an example of what we need to do in this quest is we need to use our extra action button to blow up these little burrows that the Nerubians are coming through. You can also use it to deal some damage to the enemies that you're attacking. Need to fix, what is this? My resource bar? Options, resource, personal resource display. I'm gonna turn that off. We don't need that. And if you're curious, you're jumping in on episode 2 instead of episode 1. In the previous episode, here's Illyria. In the previous episode, I talked about sort of my user interface and the different, they're called add-ons, the different add-ons that are available for people to use, where you can download those add-ons, where you can download packs of add-ons that require minimal customization, so you can really just kind of plug and play.
Directive needed.
You need a hammer?
Level 72, that gives us a new talent point.
Your cinder brew makes for quite the weapon.
Just gonna drop it in the middle. We're gonna get all these super quickly, so
the fight against the Nerubians is far from over.
one of the things I mentioned last time as well that you'll notice maybe about your character compared to my character is the speed at which I acquire experience and levels. The War Within has a new bonus that you unlock every time you level a character up to the new maximum level of 80. You will get increased experience gains for every character that you level. So after you level your first character, you get 5%. Your second character, you get 10%. And so I actually get, I think it's either 20 or 25% additional experience. So that is going to cause me to level a little bit faster. And right now there's a event called the Winds of Mysterious Fortune, which is awarding me with these satchels of helpful goods. And it gives you increased experience. So right now we're getting 20% increase experience from levels 10 to 80. So there's not always, but there's usually something kind of going on or happening that can help you with your leveling experience. Turbulent timeways or time walking dungeons are a really great way to I'm going the wrong way, a really great way to level your character quickly. Time walking will happen on a weekly basis, so it doesn't happen every single week, but it will happen frequently enough that you could definitely level a character through time walking. The first time you level any character through the expansion, you have to complete the campaign in order to unlock all the different features. So another difference that you'll see on your map is you won't see these little icons scattered around the map. These are called world quests. Those unlock when we complete the complete the campaign.
These repairs will be wasted if we're attacked again. We need to bolster our defense.
And if you are following along with our leveling, your basic goal should be complete the campaign. So just follow this main story quest, and then whatever level you end up at, whether it's level 77, 78, or 79, there's a couple different things that you can do to sort of finish that off. So there are small quest hubs that are indicated by these individual exclamation points. You can just go here and do some additional questing. And then you can also press I on your keyboard, and that will open up the group finder, and you can queue for random dungeons in the War Within, and those will also grant you XP. The dungeons themselves and killing the mobs in there will give you XP, and then if you queue for a random one instead of a specific one, you will get extra XP and some gold. So you can do a couple different things. You can dungeon, you could PvP, but that's really slow, or you could do some side quests. And so one of the things that the War Within tries to teach you and new players is how to use some of the features. So part of the campaign is to actually use the dungeon finder to join what's referred to as a follower group. So follower groups are available in the dungeon finder, and you can complete any of the War Within dungeons on follower, like through the follower dungeon feature. You just select from the drop down when you open the dungeon finder, follower dungeons. You can queue up for those. It's not good experience, so I wouldn't recommend just spamming follower dungeons over and over and over. However, it's a great way to sort of like introduce you to, I don't know, the concept of dungeons and like the layout of various dungeons. So for example, we're going to go through the Rookery in its entirety on the follower dungeon difficulty. You can use this feature down here, your extra action button, to toggle between you being the one to initiate combat, like I just did there, or you can have the followers lead the dungeon. So I can just switch it over there, and then it'll take a second, but you'll see when the group comes in here, we will.
Goran, what have you done?
There he goes. Nope. Wait, where's our guy? Where's Baelgrim? All right, we'll toggle it back. Here he comes. There he is. Come here, Baelgrim. So if we switch it over to Baelgrim, he was still fighting some folks. So this is a great way for new players to just get to experience like all of the lore and the story and all of the different different things that are available. I'm gonna have to turn off a Weekora. This is probably saying a bunch of stuff.
Do you require aid?
So now you can see Baelgrim's pulling for us, and we're just following along here.
Wild lightning.
And so you're probably hearing some like sound effects and instructions. Those are coming from some of the Weekoras that I have. That little high-pitched squeal is basically what tells me that I have an ability that's targeting me. They did add a new gameplay sound effects toggle, which I'm gonna play with now. I think that'll control our it'll control the sounds coming from our Weekoras, which is really cool. They just added that this patch. I don't know if it did. Well, you just went and pulled the boss.
Crashing thunder. Wild lightning.
And then the other the other sound effects that we're hearing aren't necessarily just from Weekoras. Our boss mod Bigwigs will also send us.
He deserved a better rider than Goran. I will
Sorry, just making some settings changes here. Our audio's a little too loud in this dungeon. Our boss mods will also send us different sound effects, so. And then what you saw there was the ping system. So in this dungeon, you actually have to drop down to continue along here. So they have the NPC ping down there for you so that you know which direction to go. But we're going to go ahead and take back over.
Finally, I thought I'd have to fight Goran.
And we're going to continue
on my
along
own.
through the Rookery. This isn't an active dungeon in the current season. The dungeons will rotate depending on
Attracting
depending on the season that we're in. However, this is a dungeon for the War Within expansion, so. Basically what I'm trying to say there is that seasonal dungeons rotate to keep things fresh and interesting, but each expansion comes with a selection of dungeons as well. Throughout the first two seasons of an expansion, you will experience all of the dungeons that are available, and then they'll usually add a dungeon or potentially two dungeons throughout the expansion. And then as you can see, the difficulty of the follower dungeons is pretty inconsequential. It is there to sort of show you, like I said, the story fundamentally, but also to get you familiar with like the layout of the dungeon and how groups work. So over here on the left, we have our party frames. Those will also look a little different from like the stock UI. And the party frames will show you the different roles. So it's really hard to see, but up here in the top left of Belgrim is a little shield, and up top of the Freysworn,
attracting shadows.
You'll see a little plus icon, which is the healer icon. And then for us, because we're in the damage specialization, we have a little sword.
Instability.
My best advice for folks that are looking to get into dungeons is to really just like start on the lowest difficulty and work with like what you're comfortable with. So obviously anybody can do the follower dungeons at their own leisure. Normal and heroic dungeons would follow that in terms of difficulty. And then after that, you would have Mythic 0 dungeons and then Mythic Plus dungeons. And Mythic Plus dungeons scale up in difficulty. We'll talk about those when we get to them, but you can absolutely start with follower dungeons. And then if you do go into like the normal dungeon queue because you want to level and you've experienced the dungeons and you're familiar with them a little bit, you absolutely can. Just follow the group, follow the tank. If you are the tank, just open the map and try and head towards bosses. So bosses will be identified. It's a little tough in the Rookery because the Rookery is so big, but bosses will be identified on the map and you should be able to kind of follow along. I would recommend, because any class that can tank can also do damage, I'd recommend just like getting an understanding of the dungeon layout as a DPS player before just stepping in as a tank player.
Instability. Extraction. Instability.
So one of the add-ons that I have, we can kind of explain these. They're not important for follower dungeons whatsoever, but one of the add-ons that I have is called Bigwigs plus Voice. Bigwig's voice, basically instead of just having a ding or a sound effect
Instability.
when an ability is being cast by like a boss or a specific trash mob, like that instability, that is talking about and letting me know about a specific ability that is being cast. So when these guys die,
Dodge.
these small guys die, they
Dodge.
cast an ability called instability. The other thing that you're seeing pop up here with things like defensive or dodge, that is a weak aura. They've put out weak aura packs for every season that'll tell you about the specific abilities in a dungeon. The Rookery was part of the dungeon pool from season 2, so I still have that weak aura up and active.
Instability. Extraction. Defensive.
And the audio cues just really help with all of the different things that are going on here. So you can see, you know, there's a lot that's happening on the top of my screen. I've got mobs that are casting abilities that I need to dodge and move around. I have mobs that are putting AoE puddles on the ground when they die.
Defensive.
And so what you really want to do is try and devote as much of your attention to that as you can. So the audio cues really help.
Phased.
And we're not going to get too into dungeon bosses and dungeon boss abilities. In the last video series, I explained all of the different abilities, and I think it was a little bit overwhelming. So we're just going to start with by going through the campaign. We're not actually going to do another full dungeon until we hit max level.
Let us return to the council.
So we don't need to really hone in on that right now. When we do get to season 3 dungeons, we'll talk about all the bosses and the boss abilities. There's a couple ways that you can leave a group when you're done. If you queue for a group using the dungeon finder, like a heroic or a random dungeon, you can right click and your name and click leave instance group. Your nameplate might have look a little different, might be default. You can also right click on the eye and it'll allow you to teleport out of the dungeon or leave the instance group. So either of those will cause you to go to a loading screen and port out. And here we are back on the surface. This is what a dungeon entrance looks like. You can see them on your map with these like light blue or teal circles. So here is the entrance to the Rookery. And then there's one other dungeon, Cinderbrew Meadery, that's up on the Isle of Dorn. You can see that over here. Raids, on the other hand, can be shown by these green swirls. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit more menacing. And then these small doorways, we talked about those a little bit last time because we did one. These are delves. So throughout each of the zones, there are different delves that you can do, which all have their own like small little mini stories, and they're basically solo mini dungeons. And then this right here, this is a meeting stone. So if you're coming over from like maybe Classic or like TBC or Wrath of the Lich King, well, I think it changed by then, but in Classic, you had to have a warlock to summon your group. They just kind of added that ability in. So outside of every dungeon entrance, you'll find a meeting stone. You can click someone in your party, click the stone, and it will start a little summoning circle. You need one other player to click with you, and you can get your party there. So a little quality of life improvement.
I've tracked the Nerubians to a burrow near the Meadery. They must be after the Cinderbrew.
Speaking of the Meadery, that's where we're going to go next for part of our campaign.
What is your query?
We're going to skip the conversation.
We are the foundation.
Trying to decide where we should make our stand, but it's going to end up being at the Meadery anyways. So we're going to head over in that direction. You're probably looking at this map and you're saying, oh, there's a bunch of stuff going on here. There is. Some of this won't be visible. Like I said, world quest won't be visible. The small exclamation points, like I mentioned in my last video, are side quests. Our main story quest is going to be this chevron icon type thing, this little flag or banner. So that's what you want. You'll see it here up on the right, the campaign. And so you can just kind of keep following that. And like I said, my recommendation is to get through that, get all the story, complete everything. You should, especially if your character is boosted. We're having no problem taking care of all the enemies that we've come across so far.
Are you sure this will work, Baelgrim?
That is one of the other big differences that folks often cite between classic and retail World of Warcraft. The pacing on retail is just a lot faster, particularly in regards to combat. It started our character off with item level 463 gear. We will replace this. The current item level in season 3 at the start is 680. So you can see we're going to go up like 220 item levels, and it's going to go up even into 700 or so. They're just numbers. They're, it's there to make it go up, make the damage go up, make you feel better. You will not always be killing enemies in a couple abilities just like we're doing right now. This just happens to be how the scaling sort of starts out. Really what we're doing here is we're looking for leveling up, experience, story, lore, experience the different zones, and then the real the real game will start when we hit level 80. And that's not fair to say. The end game will start at level 80. There's plenty of different things that you can do in World of Warcraft to keep you entertained.
Let's commit our meeting to memory.
Set off the keg and hurry back to the mead yard. Then we will finish our preparations.
Over here, champion. Let's burn some Nerubians to cinders. Return to the meadery. I'll lead them into the trap.
I follow the Council's directives. Fly.
The Nerubians will soon start swarming from the north.
Place our defenses in their path. The honey will slow them down, and the mead and pollen will help us tear through them. We are out of time. Come, let us get you on a storm rook.
Prepare yourselves. They're coming.
How far can we throw this?
Baelgrim, they're chewing through the fuses.
Oh no.
No, they severed all of the fuses.
Oh no.
Stay focused. These monsters cannot leave here alive. Outlander, leave this to me.
fuses! We can't ignite the kegs!
I must fulfill my edict.
What? Forget the edicts!
I cannot. That is why it must be me. You must guide the Earthen.
Pilgrim!
One last ride, then you're free. Syrinx! My directive is to protect this isle, and the Earthen. All the Earthen. Glory to the Titans! Long live the Earthen!
Whoa.
Baelgrum. Oh, twisting paths.
He's gone. We did it, but he's gone.
Rest in peace, Belgrim. So we're starting to get a little bit of loot from these mysterious satchels. That'll be an item level upgrade for us. So we're going to equip those as we can. Might be a good idea for us to pick up enchanting just to disenchant these green pieces and blue pieces for a little bit of extra gold. The other thing that we're supposed to be doing is keeping an eye out for herbs.
I presume not all went well.
Okay, we have find herbs on.
Do you have an appointment?
We'll break the news here.
We must talk later. Tell me what has happened.
Council Ward.
We have bad news. Yes, I am the former Stone Lord. We have repelled the Nerubians, but Baelgrim is gone.
I see. So he fulfilled his edict.
Not just that, he defended the Earthen, both the Oathsworn and the Unbound. More than anything, he wanted us to stand together again.
Then we will honor his memory by doing so. It will take time to fully repair the Coreway, but the Outlanders can descend to the Ringing Deeps. The Earthen of the Isle of Dorn will support their endeavor, no matter what the edicts say. If we can bring the machine speakers back into the fold as well, then the Council will truly stand complete.
Thank you, Council Ward. Now, let's clear the last of that rubble.
I serve. Conversation initiated.
Outlander, I will accompany you to the Ringing Deeps. It is my home, and it too may need defending.
There's a small chance whenever you get an item from a quest that it will just upgrade. It will roll the upgrade. So it can start as a green item like that one just did, and it can go up to a blue item, or it can go up to an epic item. Only happens with questing gear. Used to happen with any gear from the end of a dungeon, but people don't like that too much. And so, just speaking from experience, you definitely won't be close to level 73 if you're starting on a brand new character. If this is your second playthrough, you'll be definitely a little bit closer. You'll probably be around 72 when you head down into the Ringing Deeps, which is the second zone.
You have my focus. This is unacceptable. If us Jacks won't aid the injured, then we will.
So here we're going to learn about the story of Speaker Printh. We're going to meet another race, aside from just the Allied, or the Earthen Dwarves.
Expressing relief. Glad to see.
Give me a moment. Regaining strength.
We're going to fill up that bar. So we got to help out. Take care of these malfunctioning robots. One other thing I'm sure that you probably noticed even in the first episode was just kind of like jumping in and pushing buttons. I talked a little bit last time about what's referred to as like a rotation, which is just essentially the optimal way to push your buttons in the right order to do the most damage. Your class's rotation can be found on Wowhead, which is the resource that we referenced last time for looking at things like talent builds. There's also a section in those guides that will focus specifically in on what order you should push those buttons in. There is some nuance depending on the class,
Not working,
but most of them can be relatively straightforward. You can usually piece things together simply by
that is not your concern.
at least the fundamentals, simply by reading the abilities in your spellbook. One of the nice things that they did, hotkey for spellbook is P on the keyboard. One of the nice things that they did is they split up core monk abilities, which you'll see on the left side, in this category here that rolls over this way, and then specialization abilities. So every monk is going to have access to Blackout Kick, Rising Sun Kick, and Tiger Palm by default. And then the abilities that are added when you spec into the Windwalker tree will be over here. So the core basic rotation, we talked about the mastery, which can also be found in here. The mastery is combo strikes. Your abilities deal % more damage when they are not a repeat of the previous ability, which encourages us to alternate our abilities. We talked about resource management. So Monk, for example, has Chi, which acts similar to combo points. You gain them and they cap out at 5. And they have Energy, which is a similar resource for Feral Druids, Monks, and Rogues. Energy starts at 100. It can go past that with certain talents, and it depletes. So Tiger Palm, for example, costs 60 energy, but it generates 2 Chi. So it takes energy, builds combo points, builds Chi. Blackout Kick doesn't cost any energy. It costs 1 Chi. Same thing, Rising Sun Kick just costs 2 Chi, has a longer cooldown. So the core fundamental rotation, without even adding any of the Windwalker abilities into it, is going to be to make sure that we're not repeating and we're balancing our energy levels by spending energy with Tiger Palm, and we're alternating with energy abilities that don't cost energy but spend Chi, like Rising Sun Kick and Blackout Kick. And then the spec brings in some additional complexity. We have our cooldowns. Like I mentioned, these are abilities with long cooldowns. You can see in the top right of the tooltip. Invoke Zuen has a 2-minute cooldown. Storm, Earth, and Fire has a 1.5 minute recharge. It's called a recharge because it has 2 charges. So down here on the action bar, you can see the little number 2. And then we also added in some core rotational abilities like Fists of Fury. Fists of Fury has an 18-second cooldown, so about twice as long, a little more than twice as long as Rising Sun Kick. Things like Blackout Kick and Tiger Palm, they don't have any cooldown. So what you want to be doing, we know that by just, first of all, looking at the damage, but also at the cost of the resources, Fists of Fury is going to hit pretty hard. So we want to, the second sort of layer of our rotational goals is to keep Fists of Fury on cooldown as much as possible. But it costs 3 chi. So we have to build up to those 3 chi using Tiger Palm, which only gives us 2. So this is, without any guide, like just looking at the abilities as we unlock them and as we go through the spell book, you can kind of piece that together. Not all rotations are this complicated. There are some like Frost Death Knight right now, for example, that are basically just like builder, spender, and then there's a proc ability. So it's just back and forth. They do have resource management as well. They have multiple resources. So there's some of that is involved. But a lot of the abilities that are here are more utility abilities. So just like going down the list here, Diffuse Magic is what's considered a defensive ability. Same thing with Fortifying Brew. They have long cooldowns. You push these to take less damage. Leg Sweep is what's considered a crowd control ability. So it stuns all the enemies around you. Paralysis is what's known as like a hard CC, a hard crowd control. It basically locks a target down, but if you damage the target, it will break that. So this is paralysis. Provoke is what's referred to as a taunt ability. As a tank, it'll taunt the target to attack you. Resuscitate is what's known as a res. So a resurrection spell that brings somebody back to life. It can't be cast while in combat, so it has to be after the mob is dead or when you're no longer in combat. And then we also have movement abilities. So we have Roll is a good example. You've probably seen me do that a couple different times. We have Tiger's Lust, which also removes all roots and snares alongside increasing movement speed by 70%, castable on multiple targets. Then we also have healing abilities. So we have Vivify, which causes a surge of invigorating mist, healing the target. So it could be me, could be a friend, for 96,000. So most of these abilities can be broken down. Only so many of them are going to be core fundamental rotational abilities. So just taking a look at my bar, I have 4 main rotational abilities: Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Blackout Kick, Rising Sun Kick, and Fist of Fury. I have an AoE ability called Spinning Crane Kick, Whirling Dragon Punch, and then I'm not spec'd into it, but a talent called Strike of the Windlord. I have my Hero Talent ability.
Back to work.
And so there's really only 8 buttons that you're pushing constantly, but there's many, many more buttons that you can push situationally.
Outlanders, this is the realm of the machine. And I am the High Speaker. And who is this? Brinth? I almost forgot I sent you away. I have been busy addressing our greatest problem. The Awakening Machine. What distractions have you brought before me this time, Prince?
These Outlanders crashed on our shores.
I have no time for your misadventures.
High Speaker, the Nerubians.
Enough! Outlanders, you may wander where you will. But when you are done, return from whence you came. The High Speaker has spoken!
Something's up. Something's fishy with that guy.
it! Stay out of dark!
Task resumed.
So Brinth has been topside for quite some time. She's only just come back along with us.
Please proceed. Is that Brynth?
And this is another example. There's another one after this. But every time you kind of go into a new zone and you go to sort of a new quest hub, they'll give you these quests to sort of talk to the locals and introduce you to some of the different areas. Right now, we're just gathering some intel from Brinth's crew, some of her former associates.
The High Speaker won't lift a finger.
So this awakening machine is what, Reacher?
Moira, please continue speaking to the citizens here. Outlander,
We're gonna go and see what's up, because something wasn't right with the High Speaker. Brinth knows, because Brinth hasn't been here.
Look at this mess.
It's like maybe some propaganda
Back and battered with nothing to show
or something is afoot.
Please, proceed. Another interruption. Stay productive.
As expected, I suppose. We're engineers and crafters, not soldiers.
Candle King is crazy! Forcing kobolds into war, but many want peace.
Candle King? Perhaps we face a common foe. I will ensure your name is in the archive. Considering theory, if we depose this Candle King...
So we just met our
the raids on Gundergan
next race, the kobolds. They're not specific just to the Ringing Deeps. They're a well-represented race of creatures in Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy lore, and they're also a mainstay in World of Warcraft, particularly in the human starting zone, where you fight many kobolds. So we're just working to pick up candles. We need to slay 24 kobolds. Kobolds can drop the candles as well. And you'll see with our nameplate add-on here, the nameplates will change colors when they have quest items involved. You can also see what item, where you should be questing using the mini map in the top right, and then when you mouse over an enemy, your tooltip should illuminate with what they might need in terms of your quests. And then, I can't believe it's taken us this long, but there's an herb here, so we're going to use our profession that we picked up last time, herbalism, to grab that myco bloom. And you should be able to see herbs on your mini-map. It's a little hard to see this one, but there is a little leaf for herbs, and there's a little mining node for minerals. Minerals and herbs are the only ones that you'll gather in the open world like this on your mini map, like gathering professions. However, for leatherworking and for skinning and for tailoring, those come directly on from things that you kill. So in order to acquire hides, you have to kill beasts and skin them, and then in order to acquire cloth, you would kill humanoids like these kobolds. And so we're going to team up with this little kobold because he too is noticing something's off with his friends here.
That was certainly an exhaustive list.
And the voice lines on this quest are actually hilarious. So I talk, you know, I'm not going to be sitting here and reading all of these, but I think that the relationship between Speaker Brinth and these kobolds ends up being so funny. Just because Speaker Brinth is very, she's almost robotic, like she's very logical, and the kobolds aren't. But I thought they did a really good job with this quest line. So I've been doing a pretty bad example of it so far, because everything's been dying pretty quickly, but what we want to be doing is getting some of our high priority buttons on cooldown more frequently. So for example, we should be using some of our cooldowns like Storm, Earth, and Fire much more frequently so that we're killing and doing damage. We should also be prioritizing Fist of Fury because it does so much damage. And we talked a little bit about just like how quickly we were killing things. So one of the features in World of Warcraft that allows us to enjoy sort of like any part of the game that we want in any given time is level scaling. So you don't, if you don't want to use a character boost, you want to level a character up, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. You could log into that character, complete the starter island or the tutorial island, get to level 10, do a couple quests, and start doing dungeons and just grind dungeons all the way up. You can also do time walking dungeons, which are a very effective way to level a character, although they can be a little bit repetitive, and time walking only occurs every so often. You can go to an NPC in Stormwind or Orgrimmar. Her name is Chromie. She has access to what's referred to as Chromie time, which is the ability to go to different expansions and different storylines and complete those while gaining experience. And this is a dungeon, but we're not going to go into the dungeon. But this is where you can access Dark Flame Cleft, which is another dungeon.
Steel candle, kill kobold. I'm Candle King. Snoot, snout, leave new friends. Elemental present. And close door behind.
Candle King is cruel, but very strong. Too strong to attack like this.
What is your query?
You remember, I thought for sure kobolds and warrens, they no need Candle King.
All right, let's start a coup.
See? Kobold built great city. Big towers. Lots of room. Many jobs, too. Candle making, wax harvest, scrap salvage. Many. Used to be happy place. Now bullies and fear everywhere. Friends have food, but Prince and Skitter find good place to set up. Flare out!
Oh, look, another monk. Another major difference between classic and retail is what's called mob tagging. So this is basically the concept that, like, out in the open world, there might be other players. And in classic, when you aren't part of the same party, if you damage an ability or you damage an enemy, you're going to basically tag or claim that mob. So it's particularly impactful when you're doing quests. They got rid of that. That's not something that is in retail World of Warcraft. So like this guy, for example, even though he's a blood elf on the opposite faction, or a Nightborn, sorry, he can come over and just damage my mob to get quest credit, which is a good quality of life improvement in my opinion. We're trying to find these specific quest items. We need to be gathering these barrels, which we just finished. We gathered 24 scrap, and now we're looking for any of these orange nameplates. That means that the mobs that are near them are guarding these kobolds. So we just got one there, and I see one over here as well. So just fly over. And we're done. On the map, you can see a couple different things. You can see these little treasure chests. Those indicate that there's a treasure. We just walked over to this one. Of course, it's a kobold area, so the treasure, there really wasn't anything in there except for some gold junk. A gold bird. It can sell for a little bit, which is great. Big gold nugget. So very fitting. And then you'll see this other one flying around. This is the rare that we mentioned. So this is the rare right here, Candle Flyer Captain. I just aggroed him, so let's try and take him down. No problem there. So we got a little bit of gold, we got some resonance crystals, and then we also got this flying cobalt seatbelt, which just happens to be a leather belt that we could equip if we didn't have another one that was the same. These little paw icons, these are pet battles. That's another sort of feature that is available in my collection. Shift P is the hotkey for that. There's a pet journal, and you can go and battle somewhat like Pokemon, but not really. Turn-based battle system. You have a team of 3. Not my favorite content, but some people like it. Some people like to collect pets.
Mixing the cinder brew with candle wax should yield pyrotechnic results.
If it's not your cup of tea, you can also filter it off using the map filters up in the top right. Oops. And you can end up progressing quests pretty quickly if you end up doing them alongside someone. So like, for example, normally there's a bunch of enemies here, but that monk was ahead of me because I was yapping, and he cleared out all the enemies, so I can come in here and just grab the quest items for quest objectives nice and quick. So we'll take care of these cauldrons. We'll fly in here. He already killed him. There he goes. That's okay. We'll just sit and wait. I don't think this actually ever happened in our last video, but typically, like, enemies will have what's referred to as a respawn timer. It's just like how long it takes for the enemy to, after it dies or is defeated, to pop back up. Usually it's pretty quick. Goes a lot faster than Classic. Classic, sometimes people will be waiting around forever. It's usually not the case, just probably a couple minutes, or not even a couple minutes, but a minute or so till he pops up for us. Speaking of, here they come. And we're going to hit level 74 soon. Again, you'll probably just be maybe close to level 73 at this point. But don't worry about that. Again, just keep progressing through the campaign. All right. I wonder if I could just turn off the Winds of Mysterious Fortune. That would slow us down a little bit. Maybe I can if I talk to an NPC. Well, we'll take the levels. Again, because I want everyone to experience, I want to show everyone what you should be experiencing. We will continue all the way through the campaign, and then I'll just talk about what you can do from there. This is what's often referred to as a scenario. So usually it's very similar to a dungeon or a delve. You'll see objectives, look for things like extra action buttons, and follow along with these objectives. So we're infiltrating the Dark Flame Cleft, and we are trying to snuff out these candles without being detected. When we do, all the kobolds run away in fear of the darkness. Sometimes during quests, particularly, well, just every so often, you might have like a stealth quest, which is essentially what we're doing right now. So these dotted lines will show you where enemies can see you. So you want to avoid these patrols, sneak around the room, and try not to be seen. And then as soon as you douse that candle, they run away in fear.
Not too big to be scared of dark, was he? What is that?
Waxmus. We need to kill it, so we're going to take off our disguise. Looks like we can't put our disguise back on until we get out of combat. Yep, there we go. Our action bar glowed again. And sometimes you can use movement speed abilities in these situations. Sometimes you can't. You can always just test it in a safe place. Looks like we can here. So we have a question to acquire the candle keys. Eat that. And then we open up the chest to get the candle crown. Let's get out of here.
No, take it from us. Now we escape. Let's go.
So 506 is a pretty decent item level upgrade for us from 463. I kind of want to equip this right away. So one of the things with monks is that they can use they can dual wield 2 one-handed weapons, particularly if you are a Windwalker or a Brewmaster, and then they can also use 1 two-handed weapon. So we're just going to pick up this 2-handed pole arm. We're looking at things like the stats that are on here. Obviously, our secondary stats, there are some that are going to be better than others for each class and for each specialization. But what I'm looking at primarily here is that this one is an intellect staff that I would use as a healer. This one is an agility staff that I would use as a DPS or a tank. So I'm going to pick that one up, and then I'm going to equip it. And that's going to replace, it's going to take off my 2 one-handed weapons and equip this pole arm instead.
I am sorry for what has happened.
And it looks like a shovel. That's cute.
I understand what it feels like to watch your home slip away.
So Brinth bonded with the kobolds. Now we're going to go back because we know something's afoot. We're going to go back into the city. Oh, cool. I could turn more world quests off. That's great. Okay, that'll make the map a little bit more clear, easier to understand, and should relate better to what a new player would see without world quests active.
But your people have a home in Gundergaz.
Oh, I walked right past her.
We help new friends. Many hands make light work.
May the deeps continue to ring.
Sometimes diplomacy means stirring the pot. Let's see what bubbles up.
I see Speaker Brinth has returned.
Are we preparing for more Nerubian attacks?
Why haven't we heard more? Earth and above us have...
The number of working machines...
We're currently investigating. You would be all the more reason to restore our awakening machine.
Starting a little coup, trying to figure out what's going on here.
I'll speak with the council in Dorn.
And he's trying to hide us from whatever's going on down south, so of course that's exactly where we're gonna go. Down south. What we'll probably do today is just finish up the Ringing Deeps campaign. There's not too much of it left. You'll probably notice, for example, up in the Isle of Dorn, we didn't actually explore the entire area. So you can see this little grayed out section of the map is still an area that we have to explore. It's going to be the same here. We'll go through to a couple different areas, but some of them will remain unexplored. That would be a great way to get the last few levels that you might need to finish your character off, is to just go and explore some of those areas and learn a little bit more, do some of the side quests. The side quests have like a pretty notable difference in that they're a lot more like local focused than the main story quests. The main story quests are very like big picture. Hey, this is what is causing an issue in this area. Like, you need to help these people out. Whereas the side quests are very, you're helping a farmer that's having an issue, or, they're very like low fantasy, like small potato kind of issues. Which is great because it's like a balance of both. If you're really into like learning about the world and the lore, that is available for you. What the heck is this? I gotta drink. Oh, give me a pirate hat. That's funny. What does this one do? What gives you a night elf mohawk? That's funny too. It's like the Mr. T commercial. I'm trying to equip these items, but I engage this mob in combat, so I'll fight it out real quick. 509, so you can see we're getting a pretty decent amount of item level upgrades relatively quickly. There is nothing super sentimental about your leveling gear, really. That is another pretty solid difference between Classic WoW and Retail World of Warcraft. When you get a green item in Classic WoW, especially when you're starting your character out, it feels pretty good. That feeling isn't quite the same in Retail World of Warcraft. You will feel that. It just won't be until endgame. So that's one of the differences there.
We should see if anyone's in there.
This quest, a little bit confusing for new players. You walk up into this ghost town with Dagran and Magni, and you're trying to find out what happened. So you use this extra action button to investigate. There's 3 clues down here on this lower platform, and then there's 3 clues up here on this upper platform. So just a quick tip to help you along there.
A lot of tools are still here, so the workers can't all be out in the mines. That's a lot of names. We should see if anyone's in there.
Changing.
Oh.
It's changing.
What was that?
Enough! It came from that building.
It's changing. It's changing. Whoever you are, get in here.
We heard you! We're here to help! What's happening to them?
A Skardan transformation in progress. Fascinating.
Stay back, lad! Get away from him!
Granda! That surge of energy! The Skardan's reaction! How did you do that?
I don't know. We'll figure it out later. I can hear more coming. Look, I'm not dead yet.
Another puzzle to solve?
So the corrupted earthen turn into these Skardan, which is basically the storyline that we're uncovering here. This is a special herb. There are also special mining nodes. There are different specialties in each zone. And they will give you some bonus items when you loot them. So
I want to see everything.
I'm gonna loot this irradiated Myco Bloom. And because it's the first time, they'll also have an effect on you. Because it's the first time, we unlocked knowledge related to this. So we got a little bit of profession knowledge, which we'll talk about in a much later video. But we also looted ley line residue. So each special node will have an associated blue item or blue crafting reagent with it, and you can use that for we'll use it for certain potions, but blacksmiths can use it for certain things as well.
Was not what I expected. I have been altered. Perhaps even...
So we're going to pull together some folks here, and we'll do a little, try and use our cooldowns. Just do as much damage as we can. So one of the basic things with the Windwalker Monk is that, our main cooldown ability is Storm, Earth, and Fire, and it will summon clones that will mirror our abilities. So when our clones are out, we want to be hitting our heavy impact abilities, such as Rising Sun Kick, which does a lot of single target damage. Whirling Dragon Punch, Celestial Conduit are big cooldowns. Basically, we want to push Storm, Earth, and Fire and start hitting with our heaviest things. So. And every class and every spec's cooldowns are going to be different. They'll have different times. They'll have different impacts on your abilities. Getting silence. I'm a fan of that. And we're going to make one quick change here. I mentioned profiles, UI profiles, weak auras, and Plater. You can download Plater profiles on the website wago.io, wago.io. The default Plater profile looks as like what we've been working with right now. There's a really good Plater profile by Jundies. He releases one every season, and I would definitely recommend it. It goes in and colors the nameplates of all the different mobs inside the current season's dungeons so that you can know, which mobs might be important. They have bigger health pools. Those are colored purple. Which mobs require an interrupt? Those are colored pink. And then which mobs are just normal, which are your standard traditional red. Oh, that's a BOE. I don't think we can sell that, but maybe we can, so we'll hold on to it. Just going to continue along with the quest. I broke my questing rule number 1, which is to always head to the quest objectives first, because you're gonna kill stuff when you get there. Like, I have to kill this guy to get out of here.
Taylock could be next. Barricade your doors, but be not afraid. We will press
Swoop in here. Find the third slate. Pop back out.
Can you hear it?
There's a rare Myco Bloom, so I kind of want to grab that. Even if it means I have to kill some things.
The music is eternal. The itching. I can taste the sounds. Revelation awaits.
So this is a spore-fused Myco Bloom. So this gave us viridescent spores. It's also causing these little eruptions to happen around us. And then it gave us the core herb, the Myco Bloom, as well.
The ringing. The ringing. We'll lock away deepest cavern for darkest memory.
It must have been a controlled cave-in. Champion, help us destroy the blockage.
So much to discuss.
I'm speaking for no one. Is that the foreman? You were right, lad. Infection! Come on, we can't let that thing out of this cave. We were too late. How many times have I been too late?
Wait, Granda. Look in the water. I think that's a memory gem. That gem must contain the foreman's memories.
You speak the truth? Your artifact will repair the awakening machine?
It will perfect the machine.
Oh, there she is.
Your struggle, your suffering will be at an end. All will
Did you find something? I need some time to think. Keep fight, Zalatar.
We gotta go
Gave the
report
High Speaker the means to
Brinth.
restart the machine.
So we're gonna
He's creating Skarden.
head on out of this cave. You can only mount outside. So whenever you're leaving a cave, you want to just kind of get to the edge of it as best you can. We're just toggling our map open so that we know the direction we want to head. Of course, we have this indicator as well. With skywriting, there's a couple different ways to get around. What you'll often see me do is flick my camera up and then press the space bar. It's actually a tiny bit faster to flick your camera up and push the up button, which is skyward ascent, than it is to just continuously push search forward. Very, very small amount. You also, obviously, you lose a little bit of speed when you go up, and then when you go down, you gain a little bit of speed. So what you'll often see me do is fly up high and then just coast all the way down at a nice, comfortable
Machines
speed.
Must be preserved. Enough
So now we're going to go up north to the Earthenworks.
Will answer for his
We'll knock out some quests there.
To the Earthenworks.
And this is where we'll wrap up today, and we'll wrap up the campaign of the Ringing Deeps. This whole quest hub here and down here you can explore at your leisure.
I suspected we might need some assistance.
May your cause. Moira, we require a foreman's key to access the Hall of Awakening.
Gonna need a foreman's key to get in. The Hall of Awakening is where the Earthen are awoken. And we know some not great stuff is happening in there with what's going on with the High Speaker, so we're gonna try and break in and see what happens. See if we can change the path of destiny.
Make it quick. You should have remained on the surface. Speak up, Brent.
So we're trying to negotiate with the foreman to give us their key. They're not having it. And then we're also doing a fill up the bar quest as we plug along here. And here's another foreman.
This sounds suspicious.
He
I don't know what to believe.
is a little more agreeable, so we don't have to fight him.
My
He's gonna help us out.
efficiency is impaired.
Violence authorized.
Take my access key. Never did like the High Speaker's pomposity.
I didn't know pomposity was a word.
Work delayed. My task is done. Violence authorized. No more. No more. Protect the machines. Protect the machines. No. No more. Work delayed. No more. My task
Oh, we leveled up.
is done.
Get our capstone. We actually got a couple points, so. So our hero talent, Celestial Conduit, every 1.5 minutes. Press the button, the Celestials empower you, causing you to radiate 1.4 million nature damage onto enemies and healing on up to 5 injured allies within 15 yards over 3 seconds, split evenly. Healing and damage increase by 6% per enemy struck up to 30%. You may move while channeling, but casting other healing or damaging spells cancels the effect. We just unlocked the capstone, which allows us to recast once during its duration to call upon all of the Celestials to assist you at 200% effectiveness. Unity Within is automatically cast when the Celestial Conduit ends if it's not used before expiration. And then our main talents right down the middle all gave us ways to call upon the Celestial Conduit. So Tiger Palm calls Zuen. After Zuen comes, we get Strength of the Black Ox, which comes from Nizao. Your next Blackout Kick refunds 2 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery and causes Nizao to stomp at your target's location. And then TG here, your movement speed is increased 75% during Celestial Conduit. So Chi-Ji is one of the other Celestials. He's a red crane. And you can see here we have some Jade Serpent talents and more red crane talents on the side as well. So, oh, we're getting attacked. I mean, that's fundamentally talent points kind of in a nutshell, is like you will see either an ability that you already have or an active ability, and the talent points will modify it. So, for example, we talent into our major cooldown, Invoke Zuen, and then the talent after that, Invoker's Delight, we gain 15% haste after summoning our Celestial. So some of these talents will benefit those spells that they're associated with, but also they'll have an impact on the core rotation. For example, a lot of the fundamental talents impact the way that Rising Sun Kick or Blackout Kick or Tiger Palm work.
My task is...
And this quest, everybody's really spread out here. I should be down here where everything's a little bit more dense. That's where we're gonna go.
Battle begins.
All right, we just need one more. Take care of them. Looks like we're stuck in combat with this Cogwalker. He's evading. Oh, he unevaded. Every so often, mobs can get a little stuck, and they'll do what they just did there. They'll evade. Sometimes AoE abilities can get them out. Sometimes you just have to run away from them until you drop combat. That's something that we haven't really talked about, is like combat. Every mob out in the open world that has a red nameplate will basically attack you on sight, unless, for example, like this construct, they're engaged with other NPCs, and then if they do attack you, they'll chase after you and they'll try and hit you. But every mob in the open world will eventually have they'll drop combat and they'll tether back to their location. So I'm trying to show it here, but as soon as we get far enough away, so you can see them turn around. So there's certain things you can and can't do in combat. You can't mount up while you're in combat, so you need to drop combat before you can get on your mount, and you can't resurrect in combat unless you have what's known as a battle res. That is a resurrect with a different cooldown that can be used in battle. Druids have those, paladins have those. Warlocks and Death Knights can also battle res.
Must get away!
yourself, champion! The enemy advances! Looks like Varric's machine is still usable. Use that mechanical contraption to blast him to scrap!
And I think we mentioned this last time. This is a vehicle quest, so our action button is replaced. Or our action bar is replaced. And we get specific abilities like shooting this molten gun at enemies. And again, we want to fill up a bar. It's not the easiest to aim. It seems to go down into the ground pretty easily. Either down in the ground or it's up in the air. All right.
Well done. Now let's regroup ahead. Have you heard anything I need to know? The three hammers stand as one. Brinth is already inside the Hall of Awakening. Let's move.
And normally you would say, hey, I thought this was a dungeon. This is just a scenario that we're going to go into here. This is what the dungeon portal looks like. Not super clear. Doesn't happen very often. This is probably the one time that it'll happen.
I can hardly believe it. This place dates back to the time of the
High Speaker Aeric.
Time for that later, Captain. With a fight in our hands.
High Speaker will prevail.
I'll get the door. Lead the way, champion.
Intruders, activate the defenses.
Oh. So in this scenario, we need to blow up these turrets using these bombs.
Champion! Those bombs have enough firepower to destroy the turrets.
I see that, Dagrin. Thank you.
Hurry! We need to catch up to Brinth. We're near the stone vault. That's where the dormant earthen are stored.
And if those earthen awaken at Scarden.
Get those doors open, lad. And fast.
proceed?
So many Scarden. If only we'd known about them sooner.
Open up a couple bags. Get some more higher item level gear. If that's say annihilation interface, that sounds scary.
Vindictive and misguided. Perhaps my golem can show you the error of your ways.
I was hoping I could interrupt that channel. One of the abilities that we haven't really talked about too much is interrupts. So you probably noticed that this is a good example. So this bar, this cast bar is yellow. That can be interrupted. Most classes, with the exception, or most specializations, with the exception of Shadow or Holy Priest and Discipline Priest, have a baseline or a talentable interrupt. Ours is Spear Hand Strike, and it's just a simple ability, jabs the target, interrupting spell casting, preventing any spell from that school of magic from being cast for 3 seconds. Most interrupts are very similar. Some specializations have different ones. For example, Balanced Druid has a big beam that will silence in a group and has a longer cooldown. Melee typically have a lower cooldown interrupt than ranged. All right, we gotta confront the High Speaker.
It is done! Now, with this power, all Earthen shall awaken.
We've lost them all. It's over.
Granda, you can stop this. I've seen you wield Azeroth's gift. It's you. You're the only one who can save them.
Magni. It is time.
Azeroth, let your blessing pass to them. You did it, Granda. You saved them.
you let me go? You woke me. Who are you? I'm Magni. Magni. But who am I? Whoever you want to be.
All right, there we go. So just kind of circling back from the start of this expansion, we went to talk to Magni because Azeroth was crying out. Magni tried to talk to her, but she kind of shut him down a little bit and did give him the vision of a Dornagal in danger. So we shipped off that way, and all those events, the Nerubians, Xalatath, led us and Magni into see what was happening with the Earthen race and their corruption in the Skarden. Had Xalatath's hand as sort of the puppet master behind the High Speaker.
Mind yourself, champion. We need
And in a heroic act, Magni
but he's no longer one of us.
selfishly listened to sacrifice his power, listened to Azeroth, and turned to stone, but he was not gone forever. And he came back and was let go from Azeroth's bidding.
Then you know I will leave it to my people to decide.
And there's a lot more lore to unpack with that. You know, when we walked in there, Dagran mentioned like this is a very old Titan facility. There's a whole lore that you can watch on like Nobel's channel or the channels that I mentioned, Karazhan Library, that talk about the Titans and the history of Azeroth and the galactic struggles and things like that. So
to chat or work. You may take your leave.
So we're done here. We've helped another race and completed another zone in the main campaign. So now you can see here, if we press M or we press we open up our quest log, our campaign is updated. We now have the Hallowfall Arathi campaign, 0 out of 3, and right as we walk outside, we see Anduin talking to Edelgard.
I will always try.
And Anduin has learned from Edelgard about the Arathi.
We have lost.
And so what we're going to do next time is we're going to head into Hallowfall, and we're going to complete the campaign in here. We'll go see if we can get an inn, because Hallowfall is one of the most
Thank you for your help.
notoriously beautiful zones from this expansion, which is particularly impressive considering that 3 of the 4 zones are underground. But you'll see why in just a minute. It practically has its own sun.
It shines as brightly as the sun.
And it's really, really cool. They have some balloon-style airships, and
But we're underground.
yeah, Anduin's quote for quote what we're talking about here. So very, very cool zone, and we'll learn all about the history of that zone
What can I do?
in the
radiant song?
next episode.
From that crystal?
So we're gonna fly down to this town here. And you saw me do this last time, but what I'm looking for here is an inn or an innkeeper. It's where we bound our Hearthstone before. You can see them on the mini map by seeing the little Hearthstone icon here. And when you leave your character in an inn, they will, first of all, you'll be able to log out instantly, but they will gain what's called rested XP, rested experience. When we logged in at the start of this video, there was a darker section of our experience bar that went across like 2 bubbles, and that was rested XP. So rested XP accumulates while you're offline, and it allows you to gain XP faster up to that threshold when you return. So you just get XP and a half, basically. So since we're going to be offline for a little while, we're just going to drop our character here. We'll come back to some rested XP, which will help us level faster. So if you're not going to be playing the game for a little while, it does take time to accumulate. So if you're not going to be playing the game for a little while, try to log out in and in. But today we got to level 75. Normally around the Hollowfall area, you would probably be 74, maybe close to 75. We'll probably gain, we'll gain a fair few levels here. But by the time you get down to Ashkahet, you should be around 77 with no XP buffs, and then you want to get as much as you can here. And then, like I said, there's dungeons, delves, and side quests to fill up your experience the rest of the way. And because you'll complete the campaign, I think you also unlock world quests, so you could even do some of the world quests throughout the zones. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you liked the video, please do like and subscribe. It really helps me out, keeps me motivated, pushes me to make more videos and continue this on. Thanks to all the folks that did subscribe. I was never expecting to reach 70, let alone 10. So thank you so much to everybody who's subscribed so far. Join the Discord. There's a link in the video description on where to go to join the Discord. We'd love to have you. We want to have more folks in there asking questions. I'm happy to answer them. We can level together. We can do dungeons together. We can eventually get to a point where we're raiding or doing Mythic Plus dungeons together. So please feel free to join the Discord. And there's some good resources in there. And thanks again for watching. Have a good one. We'll catch you in the next one next week.